already say the situation going on here. You have the scribes and the Pharisees. They had traditions. We have traditions. We have things that you say you have as a church. You have ways that we do things, traditions that's been passed on from one century to another. Same thing with families, different things of that nature. And that's all fine and good, but whenever a tradition becomes against the teachings of God, then there's something wrong with it. These men, they asked the question, Brother John, why are your disciples not washing their hands first? And don't get me wrong, that's a good thing to do. But I can remember growing up as a child, Sister Lena, me and my daddy would be over at our shop working, mechanicing on something. We'd be greasy from one end to the other. And Saturdays was days that Mama cooked hamburgers and brought to us. We didn't wash our hands or anything like that. We just grabbed that hamburger and gnawed it down and went back to work. Never thought nothing about it. And what I want to try to use that to get the thought on our heart. And as Christ even made the statement, he said, it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person. He said, but that what comes out. All right, the thing is, the things that comes out of the person, where does it come from? The thing that we do and say and the things that we are, it comes from the heart. So he said that those are the things that defile the person. But in verse 1 of Matthew chapter 15, he said, Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples disobeying the traditions of the elders? He said in verse 3, he said, But he answered and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? All right, so their traditions was going against the commandment of God. So, as elders, and then he goes back to be more important here to us this evening. It ought to be that we are going by the commandment of God, not the tradition of elders, not the tradition of our family, and things of that nature. But he said in verse 4, he said, For God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and thy mother. He that curseth father or mother, let him die the death. But ye say, Whosoever shall say to his father or his mother, It is a gift by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me. And honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. He said, Ye hypocrites. Do we not understand that there's a lot of hypocrites even in the churches today? Absolutely. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of hypocrites in the church. So why are you doing these things, but yet they can't see that they're doing things that they don't need to be doing too? So it goes back to Matthew chapter 7. Why are we pointing fingers at other people whenever we have problems ourselves? Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, This people draweth nigh unto me with their mouth, and honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. So what is he getting at? Right? In the day in which we live, and even in our churches today, there's people that, and by that I mean that there's people out there that say that I'm a saved child of God, I serve God, I worship God, I live for God, but yet the fruits of their life show different. And that's some of what he's getting at. He said, he said that they draweth nigh unto me with their lips and all of that. He said that they speaking a good thing, that we're doing all of these wonderful things, but yet their heart is far from me. Needs to be with God, ain't it? He said in verse 9, he said, But in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, Hear and understand. In my mind I'm thinking, if Christ had a pulpit there, he started beating on the pulpit, saying, look, listen, I want you to understand. You know, I've had people, and I know Brother Clayton mentioned some of this morning, you know, Brother Clayton, people doing you wrong. Anytime you need help, let me know and I'll be glad to help you. Brother Clayton, where they at when you need help? I believe I could call right now and tell them that I'm broke down on the side of 59, they come get me. It's the fact that not only do they tell me that they love me, they tell me that if I need them, that they're there for them through actions and a sense style that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying. How many times do you reckon that the Lord has offended somebody? The thing is, he's not doing it out of disrespect. So, you know, in a sense, the disciples was more. What did Christ go on to tell him? Do you not understand? People's like, well, if the Lord brings a child to the age of that, people's like, well, if the Lord brings a child to the age of that of accountability and shows them that they're lost, Brother John, a child can understand the plan of salvation. The thing that was hard to understand, it wasn't that hard. He said in verse 16, and Jesus said, are ye also without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in at the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast into the drought? But those things which proceed out of the mouth cometh forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, blasphemy. These are the things which defile a man, but not going to defile a man. That's not going out of the heart. Those are what makes the person. These people that, and in the back of our mind, we think, you know, I don't, you know, what is the first, how is it, let me back up. What is our first thought of them? Or Matthew chapter 7, I'm sorry.